Hi, this is Michael Bock from RapidiOnline, and welcome to today's webinar where we're going to talk about integration between Salesforce.com and Microsoft Dynamics Acceptor. With me today I have Berthe Thomsen, who will try to get everything to run in the background, to run smoothly in the background, and she will probably launch a poll or two during the webinar. So the agenda for today is that we'll start out by talking a little bit about who we are, who is RapidiOnline, what different kind of solutions do we have, and some of the solutions are like open, so that you can add other systems to it, and I'll just briefly talk about which other systems and databases that we support. Then we'll dive into a live demo where we will see how we can move data from Microsoft Dynamics AX to Salesforce.com, and we'll see a little bit about we have an add-on application to Salesforce.com, which we offer to the customers that can hold information that typically comes from ERP system. I will just pause for a small poll. Okay, and after the demo, we'll see a little bit about different customer success stories, and we'll briefly touch on pricing, and then we'll round up at the end. And hopefully there should be some time for questions also. So let's get started. RapidiOnline, we like to see ourselves as a software development company or service development company. And we've been working with data integration and providing solutions for data integration for a long time. We started out all the way back in 1992, so yeah, 18 years ago now, with the first solution for data integration. At that time it was between Navision and Lotus Notes, but well, that was the systems that were accessible at that time. Our current basis we started implementing as a generic data integration tool or product in the end of the 19s, in 1998, about that time, yeah. So all the technology that we implemented from that time and on, that's what we're using in the background on RapidiOnline. And the RapidiOnline service is kind of what we offer now to all our customers, and has a broad spectrum of functionality. All the time we try to make products and services that made it as easy as possible to do the data integration. Normally it is quite a complex task, and we tried to simplify it first with our on-premise products, but then taking another step and making everything available on demand really brought down the implementation time and the complexity of the integration. So mainly taking out all the many of the technical issues of connecting the systems. So that means that now we are able to get started with a new customer, setting up connections and everything for their system and starting transferring data between their systems within about 2 hours. So really brought the time frame we need to get started down a lot. And you'll see also that even if we have some pre-configured solutions, it's also very easy to add new mapping, new fields, new tables to these pre-configured solutions. So you can easily get from something that is already finished and working to something that is really solving your business needs. If we look at the different solutions that we provide, it's mainly to integrate a CRM system and an ERP system. And we focus on mainly Salesforce.com and then the Microsoft Dynamics ERP systems and also the Microsoft Dynamics CRM. So all different combinations between these systems we have a very sort of support for. Then we have some products in the retail sector where we integrate the Microsoft Dynamics Retail Manager with, for example, Navision. And we have some products typically also for some part at least used in retail where you have Microsoft Dynamics Navision out on the tills, out on the post stations also. And we transfer data forward and back to a central headquarter, also typically running Navision. So that will be the Replicator 5.0. The Replicator 5.0 and the on-premise product Replicator 4.0 is also used for NGOs. So NGOs having people working out in the jungle where they need to be, or they have to be offline because there's simply no way they can be connected all the time. And they will work with a local version of their ERP, typically Navision again, on their laptop. And when they can get connected, maybe when they get to a hotel or something, they will use the replicator to transfer data forward and back to the central systems. Then we offer a more generic version of RapidiOnline, which is support for any of the systems that we actually support. And that brings me over to the list of the different systems that we support. So first of all, the Microsoft Dynamics, Salesforce, NetSuite, an older version of these systems also. And then on the right, you see all the different main database systems. So Oracle, DB2, also on different platforms like Unix and mainframe-based systems. More generically, ODBC, Access, and open source systems like MySQL and PostgreSQL. And there's more coming on also. We have people working with Visma. We have customers working with that too, integrating it with Salesforce, and also Sage ACPAC, for example, integrating that with Salesforce. They're using the generic Microsoft SQL support to do that. But it still brings them a lot of advantages as we have a high level of functionality even using that. So typically what we do is connecting a local system with a service-based system like Salesforce. And how do we do that? Because that always brings a challenge when you have a local system that you need to connect with something central. And especially it brings a challenge if you want to be a service on the net doing this, because then you need access to the local system also. So what we did was that we further developed some of the technology, some of the communication technology that we had, and we created the Rapidi connector. And the Rapidi connector is a Windows service that runs in the background of one of the machines in the client's network. So that could be that actually typically that is an application server. So it could be the Navision or the Accepta application server actually. It's not so good to run it on the SQL server itself, but it can be done. Typically we leave the SQL server for just doing SQL server and being good at that and not putting extra services on it. And you have like a service machine application server where you install the Rapidi connector. The Rapidi connector will be set up with just 3 parameters: a service ID on our side, and then a user ID and password. And what it does then is that it connects up against our service, and it does that only it makes only an outbound connection. And that means that the customers, the clients, only have to create or open one port, and only in the outbound direction. A lot of the time this is actually open, so you actually have your system open for outbound traffic anyway, so you don't need any changes. But in some cases, if you have a very secure setup, then you need to open up one port in the outbound direction and up against our server, which is normally quite quickly done. So all the traffic between the Rapidi connector and our central services, that is packed and compressed using our native protocols, and then we typically surround that with a SSL encryption also. So quite secure in the end. In the other direction, over to Salesforce, we use the web services API, and that's, of course, it's running over SSL also. So the connection from the Rapidi connector to our central is then established only in the outbound direction, but then used for communication in both directions. So we can both write data into the local Accepta, and we can also read data out of the local Accepta using the same connection. So, demo time. I have prepared a Salesforce account here, which should look familiar. Not exactly the data, but at least the layout, where this is an account coming from Accepta. So I have some address here, 222 Wright Road, and what I will do is simply changing the address inside Accepta, and I have an Accepta here in the background. Just bring it forward here, where I have this same Sunset Wholesales. So what I will do is that I'll go into the address and simply change the 2s to 4s, like that. Save it. Then I'll jump back into or over to RapidiOnline, where I have a transfer that is going from Axapta to Salesforce and taking exactly the customer table. For the purpose of the demo here, I'll just run it manually, so that you can see the data getting transferred. But normally that would run in the background at a scheduled interval, so that everything would happen seamlessly. So hopefully this one comes out and says that it updated one record in Salesforce. Yes. And we'll jump over into Salesforce and do a refresh. And then we should see the address has changed down here. So that's just to show you that data can flow between the systems. Then what I want to do next is show you a little bit about the application that we have inside Salesforce and what data we are typically transferring from to or between Axapta and Salesforce, because that's where where you as a customer really gets value out of the system. And I will just jump over into another account here where I have a little bit better data. And what you can see is that, yeah, typical thing that we integrate is the customers forward and back. I would say that's around 100% of our customers that do that. So that you have the same set of customers inside your Axapta and inside Salesforce. You probably have quite a number of accounts more inside Salesforce, like prospects and things like that. But the ones marked customer, they would typically be matching what you have inside Axapta. So another thing that we typically transfer is what we call sales history. That's all the booked invoices from Axapta and into Salesforce, so that you can view and see all the sales directly in Salesforce, and it's attached to each specific account. You'll see a picture down here with sales history, so you can see all the invoices, all the credit memos made towards that specific customer. If we go into one of them here, you'll see all the details on the header level, and you'll see all the lines down here, what product this was a resource that was sold. But if it's products, you will see them as products, and typically also linked up to the products inside Salesforce. That gives you the possibility to easily make statistics, dashboards, reports inside Salesforce based on all the sales data here. So across customers, or for specific groups of customers, or for specific products. It gives you a lot of possibility to make all this available to your salespeople. A typical other thing that we also transfer is all the customer ledger entries. So what does that give us? I'll just jump back into the customer view here, and we can go down and look at all the different ledger entries. So what that gives us is actually, it gives us all the payments also. It gives us invoice credit memos, but then also gives us all the payments. And that again means that we are able to do some summary fields on the customer that will be, within a day at least, will be up to date and contain, for example, the balance, and then total sales in local currency, profit, sales 2009, sales 2010, and so on, based on just the customer ledger entries. Yeah, that's what we typically transfer. In some cases, we also transfer sales orders. This would be typical if you have a situation where you are producing to orders, or where you take orders for delivery in 2, 3, 4 months. It's very nice for the salespeople to be able to see what orders they already have taken for this specific customer when they go out and talk to them, either at the customer or in trade shows and things like that. So that's a typical other thing that we implement. And again, here that typically goes into a separate layout where you have all the fields from the ERP system and all the details. A third possibility, that's actually integrating the opportunities with the orders inside Navision or Axapta or C5, also the ERP system. But that depends more on the customer also, or the client, if they have that need. If they want to take detailed orders, so if they are detailing the opportunities inside Salesforce down to that level, or if it's more like we have an opportunity for selling for 50,000 kroner or something to this customer, but not putting in all the details. So that's a little bit different. I would say maybe 50% of our customers are actually integrating opportunities into orders, but it's certainly something that we do also. In that case, it would be something like when an opportunity reaches a certain stage, for example, closed won, then that triggers that the opportunity gets transferred to the ERP system and into a sales order on that side. And that again triggers it to be processed in the ERP system. Okay, I think that does it for an overview, and I'll jump back into the presentation. Just to sum up the different things that we typically integrate: customers' accounts in both directions, items, products from the ERP system over into Salesforce, and yeah, what we didn't talk so much about yet is standard item prices into standard price lists, and that again we typically extend to feeding additional price books in Salesforce.com. But this step is very individual. Customer might have actually one price book for each of their clients, or they might have one price book for a specific market, or they might have one price book for a specific type of customer, if they are resellers or they are partners, or yeah. So there's a lot of different scenarios on the pricing side. So that's typically something that we add in a custom way. Then, as I spoke about, we have the booked invoices, the posted invoices from the ERP system with all the details into this sales history module that we build inside Salesforce. And again, in some cases, the opportunities from Salesforce into sales orders in the ERP, and what we haven't noted here is the orders from the ERP system into orders inside Salesforce. Yeah, this is a couple of pictures more of the sales history module within Salesforce. We already had a look at that, and we'll break for a small poll. Okay, thank you very much. Next, we'll have a look at a couple of customer success stories. We have one here. It's called Derek Rose. It's a UK-based company, and that's actually a quite a good one, because they had a challenge that they wanted to see their business data anywhere and anytime. So, for example, on travel or out at the customers. And they had a look at, they're running Microsoft Dynamics Navision internally, and they had a look at the extensions you can get to Navision for doing like a web portal or like some transferring data to a local device or something like that. But they are quite costly and take quite some time to implement these kind of solutions that are available. So then they had a look at Salesforce and the abilities to use the client in, for example, the iPhone mobile client for Salesforce. And yeah, well, the only thing that they needed was that all the data, all the invoices, all the orders, all the customer data was on the Salesforce platform, and then the rest was already done, because then you can always also see all these custom data inside the iPhone application, for example. So we help them transfer and keep up to date all the data inside Salesforce.com, and yeah, the rest was already done. So they had a system now, or have a system now, where they can get to their ERP data, all the sales data, all the orders, everything, anywhere and anytime. Another one is NetUp. It's a Danish-based company, but with subsidiaries in a lot of countries and selling out of a lot of different countries. So they needed also a flexible integration between Navision, in this case, and Salesforce. And they have the added complexity that they have several companies, several different companies as subsidiaries in their ERP system, and they needed all that integrated in a good way. So we handle transferring data between one central Salesforce installation and then a number of different Navision companies. And that would be exactly the same if they had different acceptor companies. We would transfer the customers for Denmark to one company, the customers for UK to another company, and so on, and keep them up to date between the systems. Another one is Milestone. Milestone Systems, they are doing, they're making video surveillance software. So software that takes streams from a number of surveillance cameras and processes this, compresses it, and stores it on some servers, and analyzes it, and if there's movement in a building in the night, they will send out alerts, for example. So they're selling through partners typically, and basically all over the world. And they're using Salesforce for their communication, also to record their communication with the partners, not for the communication directly to the customers. So they are an example of a client that do not want to record opportunities and details. They simply don't get opportunities and details because a partner, they will order directly in a web shop system that they have, and then these orders will go directly to the ERP system, which is actually also something that RapidiOnline is used for at Milestone. So we take the orders from the web shop, put them into the ERP system, and from the ERP system we again transfer all the sales back into Salesforce so they can be used for analysis. So you can see exactly what this partner is driving with relation to business with them. Yeah, another quote from Milestone, and a couple of other customers that we have. I'll take a short look at the pricing. We have three different versions. We have a light version, a standard version, and an advanced version. And the basic differences between the different versions is that the light version is limited in what objects or tables that you can integrate to. So it's limited to just accounts, customer integration, and products and price lists from the ERP system to Salesforce. If you go up to the standard edition, then you'll have support for all objects and all, I suppose, standard and custom objects. And then if you move up to the advanced version, then the client or the customer will have access to do the setup also, to do all the configuration. And what we also have is that you can use some not only scheduled integration, but you can also use an event triggered or workflow triggered updates. Haven't talked so much about that, but basically that feature allows you to very easily, for example, in a workflow you create inside Salesforce, maybe it's triggered by an opportunity being changed, as where you change the stage from something and then into closed one. When that is done, you have a workflow that triggers, and that workflow can contain an outbound call from Salesforce, and that outbound call would go to our server and trigger that specific opportunity gets transferred to the ERP system, to Accepta. It's very easy to set up. It just takes 3-4 screens that you need to fill in inside Salesforce, and then it's set up, and then it will trigger that these data are transferred immediately. We are providing a more generic web service interface also, so that from inside Accepta you would be able to do the same. You will be able to trigger that a specific transfer is run at some specific event inside Accepta. But there you would have to program some. In the Salesforce case, you don't have to program at all. And it's something that is set up in 5 minutes. Apart from the different versions, Light, Standard, Advanced, we have a volume class, and that depends on how much data, how many records, that means how many customers and how many invoices and invoice lines that you are sending over between the systems in average per day. So to find out what volume class you're in, we ask you a couple of questions: how many invoices you have per month, how many invoice lines you have per month, how many customers you have, how many products, how many different price books, for example. And based on that information, we calculate an average daily transfer volume, and that determines the volume class. Small volume will be typically up to 100 records per day, medium volume up to 250 records per day, large volume up to 1,000 records per day, and unlimited is about that. For the initial setup and configuration, we offer a fixed fee for this. It depends a bit on the complexity, but typically it's around 1,200 euros. But if you need a rather complex setup, for example, also with integration from opportunities into orders and workflows and things like that, then it might be more than the 1,200, typically up to the double to 2,400 euro. But it's a fixed price and a one-time price. This was the same in US dollars. I'll just skip further here. Yeah, so why should you use RapidiOnline? I hope you've seen some convincing arguments until now. But yeah. Next step could be signing up for a 30-day free trial, where we actually would set up transfer of data between two of your systems and help you get starting with it, and you'll be able to carry on and do some more testing and get a real proof of concept running there. So, questions and answers. Don't know if we have any questions. Feel free to type in some questions and I'll just gather them up and read them up so that you can all hear what it's about. Yeah, we have one here about how do you add another field to a transfer, and this is something that I haven't talked too much about. So I'll just jump back into RapidiOnline and show you briefly how that is done. We see the transfer here that I had from Axapta to Salesforce, the customer table. We can go down into the field list here. I can go into edit mode, and there you see the mapping between the two systems. And in order to add another field, all you need to do is press new, and yeah, I don't know what we have here, but if it was, for example, the URL, you start typing, and then it comes up with the fields that somehow match what you're typing, and you select one of them. And the same, I know it's something with site, not site exactly, but website it was. So it's very easy to add other fields to it. At the same time, you can also do quite complex things. Like here, we do DB lookup. So what this does is that it goes into the source, which is the Axapta, and it goes into a separate table on the source, which is a line of business table. And there, based on the line of business ID that we have, I'll just unfold this so we can see the rest. Based on the line of business ID that we have inside the customer table in Axapta, it will look up the description. And that's what we want to transfer to, in this case, the industry field inside Salesforce. So we don't want the ID from Axapta, because you would just be looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 over here, but we want the actual description transferred into the industry. The same goes for the country field here. We'll go to the address, country, region table inside Axapta, and we'll get the country name. We'll get this field, and we'll transfer that into country on the Salesforce side. Apart from that, there's a lot of different possibilities. I'll just delete this one again. So there's a lot of different possibilities to filter on what you read, to set default values, and for something like invoices, where you have a relationship between different tables, we have sub-transfers. That means that you bind together the invoice lines to the invoice header, and that also means that you are transferring them in one transaction, so that you won't be getting into the situation where you have some invoice headers but not the lines yet, or you have some lines but not the headers. You get it over in one transaction, and the systems will stay consistent. Okay, have another question here. Is it right that you only need Professional Edition for this? Yes, that is correct. The integration is certified by Salesforce, And when you get certified by Salesforce, you get a key so that you can access professional edition instances of Salesforce. So yes, that's correct. What is the typical length for a Salesforce integration acceptor project? That's a good question. It depends on how ready the customer is, I would say. Because what typically drags a project is if the data are not really ready to be integrated. Typically, when starting an integration project, you say, okay, I have a lot of data here in my acceptor, but really I need maybe to clean them up a bit before I just transfer everything over into Salesforce and continue with, let's say, a system where we have a lot of data that is not needed anymore, or that is old and outdated, things like that. But if the data are ready for the integration, then it can be done in just 1 or 2 weeks, typically. The standard things that we talked about, that is already in the solution, that is pre-configured already, like the customer integration, like invoices from acceptor to Salesforce, like product and price lists, all that can typically be done in about 2, 3, 4 days. So, and this is not working days. This is just the time also for the communication forward and back. So I hope that answered the question. We have another one here. Is it possible to do a one-way transfer of data for testing purposes, for example? Yes, sure. It's very much possible. Actually, every transfer is always a one-way transfer of data. So by setting up a transfer in our system, you have a source, you depict a source and a destination. So in that way, you also say what direction the data is going, and in that way it will always be a one-way transfer. So if you need two-way transfer of data, then you need to set up 2 transfers, one going in one direction and the next one going in the opposite direction. I hope that answered the question. Any more questions? Okay. I have another one here. Something about if you have several several acceptor companies, what you do, I think I mentioned that if you need to integrate different companies in acceptor, going to one central place, one central Salesforce, then that can certainly be done. What you typically need is that you need to have some good identification of the customers inside Salesforce that are coming from, also where they are coming from or where they should go. So if it's based on the region, maybe it can be based on the country field, or maybe if you're on the customers, you have some kind of region code or something like that that uniquely determines that if this is a new customer inside or a new account inside Salesforce, to which company and acceptor should it go. Then the practical way it's set up is that you set up several different sources or destinations, one for each of the acceptor companies, and will handle all the technical stuff in the background of writing it into the right company and acceptor. And another question here says, I noticed that the version of Acceptor that you are demoing it with is the Acceptor 2009. But what if I have an older version of Acceptor? And that's a quite good question. On the technical side, we support Acceptor versions quite a bit back in time, because we added the support for Acceptor back in, I think, year 2000 and 2001, and our main philosophy is that we don't erase or delete support for older versions if we started supporting them. So at that time, I think it was version 2.5 of Acceptor. So on the technical side, we support all the way back to version 2.5 on Acceptor, and we support both SQL-based and Oracle-based systems. The standard integration, however, that we did, that is, as with the demo I did, that is based on Acceptor 2009. So if you have an older version of Acceptor, we need to adapt the transfers a little bit. There's some changes in the addresses, for example, on the customers between these old versions and the newest version, the 2009. And yeah, it's not a huge job. It's something that is done in an hour or two or something like that. So we just need to adapt it to that old version to make it work. Any other questions? There's another one here, if we support sandboxes in Salesforce, and the answer is yes, sure. When you connect to Salesforce, I'll just show you. You have the ability to click off that it's a sandbox, and you simply type in the user ID and password. That brings you to your sandbox inside Salesforce. So that is certainly supported also. Okay. Any other questions? Doesn't seem to be the case. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to make contact with us. And it's just one more question here. How is it with ForceCom licenses? Good question also. As long as a ForceCom license, as I know, you have access to the API also. So, and the integration itself, the only thing that we use that is not in ForceCom is the products. So we cannot directly use all the transfers that we have with ForceCom, but also in general we have support for it, and you could easily adapt the transfers so that you're not using the products but only accounts and the custom objects that we have, and in that way it would work with ForceCom licenses also. Okay. Then I'll say thank you for attending the session, and please take the survey in the end, and have a nice weekend. Have a nice Friday. Thank you. Bye.